Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790 AM. Brought to you proudly by the Tennessee Wildlife and Resources Agency.
Hey, good Saturday morning. Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray. Bill Cooksey and myself are co-hosting the show today because Larry is still trying to get well, and he is on his way to get well from COVID. And I got to tell you, Bill, we have gone through, talking with Fred Boo Boo Urbanus. That was pretty interesting about Portugal, wasn't it?
It really was. And, these guys, we didn't get to really ask him, but you could tell he was really proud of it. We all, if we like to fish, probably grew up with a little bit of a dream anyway about fishing professionally, and these guys made it happen. But the idea of fishing for your country and traveling to Europe to bass fish for, your nation and championships is pretty incredible. That's really incredible. And by the way, that one of the things that the USA Bassing Org is doing, they are working with 20 other countries to try to make bass fishing an Olympic sport. Wouldn't that be cool? That'd be amazing. Yeah. Hey, and talking about bass fishing, Bill, our next guest won a Academy Sports Outdoors. He won the St. Croix Bassmaster Open at the Harris Chain of Lakes, and he's from our great state here in Tennessee, I believe, and fishing not in lakes like that, but having won this tournament, Matt Messer will be going to the Bassmaster Classic in Tulsa, Oklahoma next year in 2024. Good morning and welcome, Matt. How are you?
Doing pretty good, buddy. How you doing?
Doing well. Listen, we've been talking fishing for a lot of segments here, but you went down to the Harris Chain of Lakes, and, you had 24 pounds, 6 ounces the first day, and then you dropped to 15.7, I believe, on the second day. Tell us about your tournament there on the Harris Lake and how you won it.
Well, I won it shallow, and to be honest with you, it just really worked out about as good as it possibly could have. During practice, it was a struggle the whole time, which I was out offshore looking for schools because I was 100% confident that's how it was going to be won. And spent a lot of time in practice doing stuff like that and never really got on nothing. So the last day of practice, I kind of just started scrambling and went shallow, picked up a buzzbait, and maybe done it for 30 minutes and caught one like 5.5 and another one like 3. So I really didn't know what to expect going into the tournament. I just kind of had an idea of what to do and planned on running a lot of new water and just going fishing.
Yeah. How did you catch a fish? Tell our listeners a pattern that you finally that provided all the weight that you had, or most of it.
Well, I was starting out my day. First thing in the morning, I would pull up on just Kissimmee lines, nothing really special. Just pulling up on Kissimmee lines and just covering a lot of water, throwing a Boogerman buzzbait. And then after the sun kind of got up good, that bite would die out, and I'd go lock through and go to Griffin, and I had one stretch of pads. I went over there. I wasn't even planning on fishing them on day one, and I ended up just out of nowhere deciding to go over there. And I pulled up to them pads, flipping a Berkeley Treacher hog, and caught 2 7-pounders and another like 3.5. So it was kind of
wow.
That was a good time of following your feelings, huh?
Yeah. I was out on through the Dead River, and I had a crankbait laying on the floor and flipped it heads or tails to decide what lake to go to. So it was it was just my time to do it, I guess.
Yeah. Hey, and it landed right, obviously, for you.
Yes, sir.
By winning this tournament, you have qualified for the Bassmaster Classic to be held on March 22nd, 24th in Tulsa on Grand Lake. How do you feel about that? What's your feelings?
Dude, I'm pumped. That's that's been a dream of mine for as long as I can remember. I mean, my entire life I've been watching the Bassmaster and watching the Classic and stuff, and just being like, I want to be like one of them dudes. And I've made it now. It's I really can't even talk about how excited I am for it. It's been something I've been wanting to do for at least 15 years.
Yeah. Well, that's, and you don't, Matt, you don't do this by yourself. You've got to have some sponsors, family that helps you. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my whole family have always supported me in this, and my brother, he's been the biggest part of it. I fished with him through college, and we won a college tournament on the Harris Chain. And, he was really into, I always loved fishing, but he really got into the tournament fishing before me. So he was kind of the one that really started making me love it, really got me into it. And, he's been with me every step of the way. I've fished with him a lot, and he's fishing opens now. And without him, there's no way I would just not qualified for Classic.
Yeah. Now, do you have any sponsors?
Yeah, I've got a couple. No real big deals, but like Buck and Bass, they helped me out a lot. Best clothes and fishing. And then Abu and Berkeley, they helped me out. And Waterland, they've really been a big help through all this.
Wow. Yeah, you got to have all that help. Now, one of the things that you did, you had to make a long run and lock through and all that kind of stuff.
That's what I want to ask about. Yep.
Yeah. You're dependent on some things that you don't have any control over. What's that like?
Yeah, that's sketchy to deal with. Them locks, you never know what's going to happen. But I kind of countered that by I had some stuff in Harris. Well, I say I had some stuff in Harris. I wanted to fish Harris. I really didn't have nothing going in the tournament. But I wanted to stay on Harris for a little bit and just kind of fish. That way I could wait on a lock and not have to waste no fishing time, because I knew it was going to be ridiculously hard for me to catch 5 of them, let alone have 24-pound. And it ended up working out good for me. On day 1, I waited on Harris. That way I could avoid the lock for a while, and I caught a 3 and a 3.5. And then on day 2, I caught a 6-pounder on Harris before I even went to any of my good stuff.
Wow. Well, you got to do what you have to do in order to win. And you talked about, you said your brother, you fished with him. You guys were teammates too, weren't you? There at Kentucky Christian.
Yep, absolutely.
And now how long have you been away from college now?
Well, to be honest with you, I started fishing opens this year, and I was going to try to fish the opens and fish college. And it got to the point, the school called me, and I had too many absences. We got an attendance policy, and I was going to end up failing if I didn't leave it open and come back to school. So I dropped out and fished the opens.
Yeah.
Wow.
Matt, if somebody wants to follow you, how do they do that on social media?
It's Matt Messer Fishing on Instagram, and then Facebook is just Matt Messer.
All right. Hey, we at Outdoors with Larry Ray want to thank you for your time. Want to wish you all the best. I will be at the Bassmaster Classic, and I'll be looking forward to meeting you and talking with you.
Yes, sir.
We wish you all the best, Matt. Thank you very much for your time, and we'll see you at the Classic.
Yeah, man. Thanks, fellas. I appreciate you boys having me.
Yes, sir.
Bill, what a nice young man. He's living the dream.
He is. And, it's funny because the first day of that tournament was canceled. And as Brian Brasher and I are headed out on Okeechobee and the wind was howling, he's looking at his phone and he's getting updates, of course, from Bass that, they just canceled the tournament just north of us, and here we are going fishing. So,
well,
and it was a rough day.
Bill, you guys, you and Brian going fishing, tell our listeners about it was really a media camp that you attended there in Florida. Tell our listeners what it was all about and the objectives.
It was, I work on Everglades restoration, and of course, bass is all in the middle of it because Everglades starts at Orlando at Shingle Creek, flows, and the water flows.
I didn't know it started in Orlando
and into Florida Bay.
I didn't know it started that far north.
Shingle Creek is the headwaters of the Everglades. Obviously up there it doesn't look like it, but it comes down through the Kissimmee and into Okeechobee, and then down through the Everglades into Florida Bay is the way God set it up, and man changed it a ton in the first half of the 20th century, and so now we're just trying to get it back. So as you know, Okeechobee is stayed really high for a few years, and trying to keep from doing those water spills to the east and west that we see on television with red tides and blue-green algae killing fish and closing down beaches, but it's keeping water too high in Okeechobee. Right. And in the meantime, the water's not getting through the Everglades and down to Florida Bay. So Florida Bay, which is the wonderful saltwater fishery, their water is too salty a lot of the time, and it's killing grass beds and changing their fishery and hurting it. So, like so much of our country, the hydrology's messed up, and that's what Brian Brasher was there to learn about. So we got to go with a lot of incredible people and see, it was a dream trip. I mean, to start out on an airboat in the Everglades bass fishing, and then flat skip in Florida Bay, and then on Okeechobee in a bass boat all in 3 days. I mean, for me, that was like a kid in the candy store.
That's awesome.
But seeing the problems and learning about them also is eye-opening.
Yeah. Well, Chevy's giving me the signal. We got 30 seconds to close out this show, Bill.
We better go.
Golly, thank you much for everything that you do, and thank you for being on the air with us today. And our prayers go out to Larry and Miriam to get well soon.
Amen.
It's been a great show. And don't forget that it doesn't cost an extra cent to be a good citizen. And what else, Bill?
God bless
the USA.